In chapter 100 of the Count of Monte Cristo, Valentine has been recovering for 4 days, watched over in turns by Nautier, Villefort, and a nurse. On the 4th night after the nurse leaves, Valentine sees the figure of a man approach her bed. Monte Cristo! He tells her he's been keeping watch over her every night for Maximilian. He's been substituting healthy drinks for the poisonous ones that are left at her bedside. Then he gives her a few drops of red liquid and tells her not to drink anything else that night. He instructs her to pretend to be asleep when the poisoner comes in after midnight. He says she'll soon know the identity of the murderer. In chapter 101 of the Count of Monte Cristo, following the Count's advice, Valentine pretends to be asleep and hears someone enter the room and call her name twice. She doesn't respond and soon hears the sound of liquid being poured into her glass. She sneaks a look and sees that it is her stepmother pouring the poison. After she leaves, Monte Cristo returns and tells her that he has a plan that will ensure her safety. She trusts him. He tells her not to be afraid, even if she wakes up in a crypt or a coffin. He gives her a drug that puts her to sleep, then empties some of the poisoned water from the glass to make it look like Valentine drank it. Then he leaves through the secret door that he'd had built behind the bookcase. He's such a great planner. In chapter 102 of the Count of Monte Cristo, hours before morning, Madame de Villefort comes back to Valentine's room. She checks for Valentine's heartbeat and is satisfied that she's good and dead. Then she empties the remainder of the poison into the fireplace, wipes out the glass, and replaces it on the table. In the morning, just as the doctor arrives, the nurse discovers that Valentine has died. Madame Villefort looks into the room just as the doctor is examining the glass on the bedside table, which is 1/3 filled with liquid. Monte Cristo has replaced the liquid she threw away with liquid containing the same poison, and the doctor identifies it. The killer has used a poison that Valentine has not been protected against. Madame de Villefort retreats to her room and collapses. The servants all flee the house at news of yet another death. In chapter 103 of the Count of Monte Cristo, Maximilian rushes to Valentine's room and hears voices saying that she is dead. He becomes distraught at the sight of Valentine. Villefort thinks he's a madman who's come in off the street. Maximilian runs downstairs, carries Nautier up in his wheelchair, and brings him to Valentine's bed. Villefort realizes that Maximilian was Valentine's fiancé and sympathizes with the young man's suffering. Declaring that he will avenge Valentine, Maximilian demands that Villefort find the murderer. Nautier indicates that he knows who the murderer is, but he insists on telling Villefort in private. Villefort goes with him. When he comes back, he says he wants 3 days to avenge the murder in his own way. They agree, and the priest who lives next door, Abbé Busoni, is sent for. He and Nautier sit with Valentine's body.